ESPN's Mike Rodak covers the Buffalo Bills at Mike Rodak on Twitter. Tonight, the Bills are at the Meadowlands for Thursday Night Football. Mike, what does the Buffalo Bills front office think about Rex Ryan's antics this week?
It's funny, we don't actually get to talk to Doug Whaley very often. He's done a few radio interviews in Buffalo, and that's, sort of part of the contract they have, local radio there, and very rarely does he talk to us. So, really, honestly, to get a read on what Doug Whaley thinks is pretty tough. He can be a pretty reclusive guy, but just knowing him, and just like I said, he's pretty low key himself. I don't know if he's probably the biggest fan of what they do. I remember going back to the Hard Knocks in the spring when the Bills are being discussed as a possible candidate for that show, and I talked to Whaley at the owners' meetings, and he said, that's not our cup of tea, Hard Knocks, and that's not Pagula's cup of tea either. So. If you kind of expound that out a little bit, then maybe you could summarize that or surmise that Doug Whaley isn't thrilled about the way Rex Ryan is doing things. But that would be a stretch, I think. So, I mean, in the end, it's still fun, for this team to have this coach at the helm, and it brings a lot of excitement, a lot of national attention to the team. So. I don't think it would be a huge issue for the front office, but I think there's definitely some more low-key personalities up there than Rex is.
Mike, I heard the argument this week that this is why the Bills brought Rex Ryan in, to be relevant again with the media. That's what he's doing. Would you agree with that this is why they brought him in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that was a very small part of it. He was a big-name head coach, and there's certainly a marketing aspect that, you probably do consider when you're a small market team, and obviously you're trying to sell tickets, and the Bills have always, struggled with that up until this season. So, that's a small percentage of it, but I think you're still looking at a head coach who was pretty, I don't say highly regarded, but he was probably the most experienced and, probably had one of the better reputations of the candidates that the Bills interviewed back in January. So, yeah, I mean, I think the team would obviously deny that they brought him in for some PR reasons, but it was obviously in the back of the minds of the Pagulas and Russ that they're bringing in, a guy who it definitely has that sort of profile nationally.
Do you get any feedback from the players? Like we always talk about the front office and everybody's the fans. Do the players like his nonsense?
Yeah, I mean, I think to a point. I don't think the players like having a circus and some of the attention that it brings negatively, but I think they like the fact that Rex is looser and Rex is fun. And Rex will make them laugh in meetings, and Rex isn't going to crack down on the little stuff that Doug Marrone used to crack down on. There's some players who thought that Doug Marrone really treated that as if it was a college program, where Rex Ryan treats these guys more as if they're professionals. So that's part of it. But again, I think any of these aspects really with Rex I think it's be careful not to overblow them, simply because it's still football and he's still a football coach, and the on-field stuff is still going to trump a lot of the off-field parts of it.
ESPN's Mike Rodak with Armen and Levack, 104.5 The Team. Your home for New York sports, previewing Jets, Bills tonight. Rex Ryan said that he thought the IK Enemkpali being named captain was overblown by the media. You're around Rex Ryan every day. Was it overblown by the media?
No, I mean, it was a big story in New York, and sort of by extension, it's a big story nationally. I mean, this was basically an assault that went down in a locker room over the summer, and, IK is lucky not to have this come in a criminal court, essentially. The fact that there's no charges filed or nothing really happened to him in that sense, he only got the NFL suspension. He's probably pretty lucky for that. So there's definitely people in New York who feel like it's a slap in the face, it's disrespectful, it's classless for Rex to do this, and I think they all have legitimate points. So I don't think it was overblown. Now, that's also sort of the outside perspective, and that's the media perspective. And I'm not saying that's the wrong perspective. I think sometimes media has a more balanced viewpoint on these things. But I think players in each locker room probably don't care all that much because they're so focused on the on-field stuff and just winning the game and just doing their jobs and getting their paycheck at the end of the day. But I think sometimes the media will think of it in broader terms and social terms, and as we often do with domestic violence issues, and I think we try to think a little bit broader, and that's where a lot of the attention and the emphasis that came down on IK being the captain. That's where that came from, I think.
Mike, when you look at this game, Rex Ryan, Todd Bowles, take the records out of it for a second. Which coach do you think needs this win more or wants this win more?
Oh, I think it's Rex. I mean, Rex can deny it all he wants, that this game doesn't mean anything extra, and the Patriots are always the team that he's going to circle on his calendar, not the Jets. I mean, that's BS. I think we all know that Rex Ryan, this is a huge game for him. This is going back into the biggest market in the NFL, and where he, one of the biggest stadiums, and this fan base that really got pretty low on him towards the end. He has a chance to really prove that he's still a good football coach, and what happened with the Jets the past 3 years wasn't his fault. So it's a huge game for him. I mean, for Bowles, he's in his first year, too. The Jets are in a better spot. They have a better record. There's not that same importance attached to this. I don't think Todd Bowles is out there, trying to prove that the Jets were, a bad team with Rex last year. I don't think that's really something he cares about, whereas Rex probably does care about the comparison to last season. So I think it's bigger for Rex. Obviously, if the Bills lose, they're back to having a losing record, and then they have to go into New England in a week, and you'd have a very strong chance of going 4-6 after that game, and obviously you're in trouble by then. So it is a huge game for the Bills. I think the Jets can probably absorb a loss a little bit more than the Bills at this point.
ESPN's Mike Rodak with Armen and Levack covers the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Of course, Mike now in the Meadowlands for the game this evening. Do you have a feel on this game? Vegas says Jets are a 2-point favorite. It seems like a toss-up. What's your feel on who wins this game tonight, Mike?
I think there are some key factors on each side. Obviously, Kyle Williams being out, Antonio Cromartie being out. Both defenses probably won't be exactly where they could be. Where we're probably talking 2 top 10 defenses here if everybody's healthy and everybody's playing well. So that kind of changes it a little bit. Obviously, Fitz's thumb changes it a little bit. So you have those factors, the outside factors, the injury factors. But I still think the Jets are a better team just the way they've played this year. The Bills have the capability on offense to be a much better offense if McCoy's really cranking. Sammy's healthy and he's playing well. Robert Woods gets involved. Charles Clay gets involved. They have a chance to be a much better offense. But this Jets defense has really outplayed the Bills defense this season. I think that's what it comes down to in the end. The running game and their ability to stop the Bills' running game will probably be the key. So I do think the Jets have an edge. I don't think it's a big edge by any means, but I do think the Jets have played better this season.
So, all right, so the running game is definitely the key. I was looking through it. I don't see a game where the Bills win if they throw more than 30 times or run less than 27 times. Like do you, when you look at that, is there any way you see Tyrod Taylor taking this game on his arm and winning it for the Bills?
No, I mean, that's the times when Tyrod has lost this season is when he's thrown, I believe, more than 30 passes a game. And that's when he starts to look a little bit iffy. There's some passes that you're like, oh, God, is this guy better than EJ Manuel? Then there's when he throws 12 times a game, you think he's, the second coming of Colin Kaepernick in 2011, or 2012. But it's really tough for the Bills to win if they can't get that ground game going. We've seen that last year. Obviously, they had struggles in the running game all year. And then when Shady couldn't really get it going against the Dolphins this year, I mean, yeah, you made up for it with Carlos Williams, the potential to make up for it with Carlos Williams today, but it's still tough to win if Tyrod Taylor's throwing the ball 30 times and you're trying to throw against Terrell Revis and you're trying to come from behind as the Bills have had to do against Titans and the Jags in some of those games. So this is a better team. This team is built to run the ball and to play with the lead and to really minimize its passing game and at least be efficient with its passing game. That's when the Bills are the best this season.
ESPN's Mike Rodak covers the Bills for the worldwide leader. Last week, Tyrod Taylor, Sammy Watkins, LaShawn McCoy, Carlos Williams, Mike, they were clicking. It was fun. Can they do that tonight against this Jets defense?
It's tougher. I mean, this is a very good Jets front seven. We've seen all the talent they have up front. Their linebackers, they re-signed David Harris this past offseason. Obviously, I think the Bills might have had some interest if he didn't go back to the Jets, but not having Cromartie doesn't help the Jets' cause on defense, but otherwise, it's a very stout unit. The Bills' offensive line is playing better than it was last year, but I'd say they're playing better in pass protection than they have in run blocking. The right side of the offensive line has been very bad. John Miller and Chantrell Henderson, and Henderson may not play tonight, so you have the potential for Jordan Mills to be starting at right tackle. So really to get some push in the right side of the line, I think is asking a lot. You probably can run better on the left side of the line. Cordy Glenn, Richie Incognito are playing out of their minds this year. Eric Wood is playing decently as well at center. So you have a chance. Again, it's just a matter of there are times when this offensive line just doesn't show up. We've talked about it before, and it happened a lot last season, and that happens, and you can't get your ground game going. Like I said, you really don't want Tyrod Taylor throwing the ball 25, 30, 35 times a game.
Mike, any truth to the rumor that you are wearing head-to-toe red tonight for the game?
It's funny, I have red socks on tonight.
There you go,
buddy.
What are they going to think about that? I have red socks, but that's about as far as I'm going. My eyes might be bleeding by the time this game is over, just watching these uniforms. My God, it's like Christmas out there.
Yeah.
Take that, Starbucks.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? All right, Mike. Well,
it's ridiculous.
Congratulations on being able to leave the blizzard in Buffalo. We're just assuming every time we talk to you that it's snowing. I mean, even in July when we talked to you when camp started, we just assumed it was a blizzard. That's pretty accurate, right?
It's perpetual. It just never ends.
Exactly. Mike Rodak. Follow him on Twitter for the Bills Scoop tonight, at Mike Rodak. He's the best when it comes to covering the Billies. Mike, have fun tonight, man. Thanks for helping us preview this one.
You bet. Thanks, guys.